Walling, Louisville, Kentucky confuses me. Is Biden intentionally setting out to destroy the country? Biden thinks he's helping the country. So you got to, Mark, put yourself in a position of the opposition. He firmly believes, that he's the greatest president, that he's doing so many good things by racking up all his spending and equity and all the climate change. He's a hero in his own mind. Dennis Colbert, Sacramento, California. Even if the Bidens refused to provide bank records, could that information be provided by the bank itself? Only if there's a criminal charge against someone. The banks have to hand it over. Okay, there'll be subpoenaed. There's no criminal charge against Joe Biden. Hunter Biden, his bank records they could get, and they will. But the DOJ hasn't even asked for them. Merrick Garland doesn't care about them. But the House, they'll get them. Jim Ledbetter, Seattle. Many reports on folks who have been convicted of minor crimes on January 6th, but nothing about the appeals of those convictions to a higher court. That's because there is literally more than 1,000 prosecutions. Can't follow every case. I can. You assume somebody found guilty, their lawyers will appeal. But that process takes time. We can't track it. In a moment, something you might not know.
Enjoy cleaner, safer, and more private internet daily. Be more cyber zen. For a limited time only, get our special offer at nordvpn.com. With a few simple clicks, NordVPN will block online trackers and hide your virtual location. It will secure your devices from malware-infected downloads and block access to malicious websites. Enjoy internet without trackers. Internet without malicious websites. Internet without malware-ridden files. Imagine your data more secure, your connection protected. Be more cyber zen. Take advantage of our special offer now at nordvpn.com. NordVPN, cybersecurity built for every day.
Get involved and make a difference. Be part of this year's St. Louis County Lincoln Reagan Day dinner featuring former Trump Deputy Press Secretary Hogan Gidley. Plus, special MC for the night, News Talk STL's own Chris Arps. Have dinner, support the St. Louis County RNC, and hear Hogan Gidley Saturday night, September 30th in the River City Casino Ballroom. For more information, visit stlcorepublicans.org. That's stlcorepublicans.org.
Paid for by the Republican Central Committee of St. Louis County. Kevin Turner, Treasurer. Not authorized by any candidate or candidate committee.
This Saturday night at 10 on Stories of New Americans.
I'm joined by Yuri Bolato from Korea. How was it coming to America? Was that tough?
No, I love St. Louis. St. Louis is a kind of city, like a countryside half and city side half. And so that's why I really love St. Louis. Very, very intelligent city.
Oh.
I love that, yeah.
Stories of New Americans. Saturday nights at 10 on News Talk STL.
Now the O'Reilly Update brings you something you might not know. 19 years ago today, CBS News apologized after pushing a false story about President George W. Bush. While anchorman Dan Rather claimed it was an honest mistake, many believe Rather was helping Democratic nominee for president John Kerry. Here is the story. The controversy began 8 weeks before the 2004 presidential election when documents surfaced related to Bush's time in the Texas National Guard. They stated George disobeyed orders, refused to undergo physical exams, and alluded to drug use. Dan Rather presented the documents on 60 Minutes. He told the public, quote, "We consulted experts who believe the material is authentic." It was not. The entire narrative fell apart. The officer who allegedly claimed Bush served dishonorably was discharged himself 18 months before the documents were even written. Under intense scrutiny, CBS issued the following statement. Based on what we know now, CBS News cannot prove that the documents are authentic, which is the only acceptable journalistic standard to justify using them in the report. We should not have used them. That was a mistake, which we deeply regret. On September 20th, 2004, Dan Rather personally apologized. Quote, "If I knew then what I know now, I would not have gone ahead with the story as it was aired, and I certainly would not have used the documents in question," unquote. Further review found CBS News likely obtained the material from the Kerry campaign. Then DNC Chair Terry McAuliffe denied the allegation. And here's something else you might not know. Dan Rather's report did damage George W. Bush in the polls, but he won anyway. He defeated John Kerry in one of the closest contests in history, 286 electoral votes for the Republican, 251 for the Democrats. By the way, Dan Rather's career was finished. Back after this. The chairman of the Fed is promising more pain ahead. Last year, stocks dropped 20%, and this year could be worse. You are right to be worried. So please call the only precious metal dealer I trust, American Hartford Gold. They'll show you how to protect your savings and retirement accounts by diversifying your portfolio with physical gold and silver. Since I have been a client and spokesperson, the price of gold has appreciated more than 35%. So please call today and they'll have physical gold and silver delivered right to your door or put inside your IRA or 401k. Tell them Bill O'Reilly sent you, and they will give you up to $5,000 of free silver on your first order. Please call 877-444-GOLD, 877-444-GOLD, or text GOLD GOLD to 65532. Again, 877-444-GOLD, or text GOLD to 65532. Thank you for listening to the O'Reilly Update. I am Bill O'Reilly. No spin, just facts, and always looking out for you.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting. The Federal Reserve left its key interest rate unchanged Wednesday for the second time in its past three meetings, a sign that it's moderating its fight against inflation as price pressures have eased. But Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell says there may be another rate hike this year.
We're prepared to raise rates further if appropriate, and we intend to hold policy at a restrictive level until we're confident that inflation is moving down sustainably toward our objective.
Their objective is 2% inflation. The Fed's policymakers made clear that they aren't close to declaring victory over the worst bout of inflation in 40 years. A contentious hearing on Capitol Hill brought Attorney General Merrick Garland face-to-face with Republicans eager to quiz him on the Hunter Biden investigation. House Committee Chairman Jim Jordan says when it came to investigating Hunter Biden, the fix was in.
An investigation that limited the number of witnesses agents could interview. An investigation that prohibited agents from referring to the president as the, quote, big guy in any of the interviews they did get to do.
While Garland says he couldn't recollect speaking to anyone at the FBI about the Bureau's Hunter Biden investigation.
Have you had personal contact with anyone at FBI headquarters about the Hunter Biden investigation?
I don't recollect the answer to that question.
Garland's appearance comes at an unprecedented moment in the Justice Department's history. The department is overseeing two cases against Donald Trump, the first former president to face criminal charges, and another against the sitting president's son. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 76 points, the Nasdaq dropping 209, the S&P 500 lower by 41, oil dropping 92 cents to $90.28 a barrel. More at townhall.com.
When the government used emergency edicts during COVID to restrict the gathering and worship of churches, 3 pastors facing the risk of imprisonment, unlimited fines, and their own churches being ripped apart took a courageous stand and reopened their doors in the face of a world that chose to comply. The Essential Church is a feature-length documentary that explores the struggle between the church and government throughout history. This fascinating story uncovers those who've sacrificed their lives throughout history for what they truly believe in. Rediscover why the church is essential and how we prove that this stand remains true from a scientific, legal, and most importantly, biblical perspective. This is not your typical movie. It'll change your life. You need to see this movie with your friends and family. The Essential Church is streaming today exclusively at salemnow.com. That's Essential Church, streaming at salemnow.com.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. A few light showers are possible throughout the evening, even overnight into Thursday morning, a low of 64. A high of 82. The best chance of rain Thursday is in the morning, but we could still see a spot shower, thunder shower in the afternoon to early evening. Again, a high of 82 with mostly cloudy skies Thursday. 82 on Friday, 50% chance for some scattered showers or a thunder shower. That's the latest First Alert 4 forecast. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
You know what's a really cool and excellent fine jewelry store here in the St. Louis region, featuring the one and only Wow Diamonds? Newsteaders Fine Jewelers. Been there many times. Beautiful store. Even more beautiful people. Newsteaders Fine Jewelers, located right in the heart of the county of St. Louis, 2961 Daughtery Ferry Road. As I said, the home of the Wow Diamond. That's why that's their website, wowdiamonds.com. Newsteaders is our neighborhood jewelry store. They've been around since 1961. Richard and his entire multi-generational family team and friends take great pride in being local, locally owned, family-owned, and serving the entire region for over 5 decades. You can feel the difference when you walk in the door. They're so warm. They're so welcoming. They want to help you. You know, they design everything in-house. Yeah, they can make you something really nice for that special someone. All jewelry repair, jewelry appraisals, fine watch repair and sales, pearl and bead restringing, quality ring resizing, and like I said, whatever your imagination can come up with for that special someone in your life. Richard is one of the last master engravers in the country. That's why their stuff is so unique and so very cool. Open every weekday, 10 a.m. to 5:30, Saturdays, 10 a.m. to 3. Check them out, like I said, once again, at wowdiamonds.com. That's Newsteaders Fine Jewelers at wowdiamonds.com.
No big old corporate lib AM station telling us what to say here. Conservative talk for St. Louis. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com. Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
The 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
The more you remove voting from Election Day, the more opportunity you're offering for people to commit fraud.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
I think the Democrats are so short-sighted in this tactic they have now to just cheat at any cost to win elections.
You're a lying dog-faced pony soldier. You said you were, but now you got to be honest. I'm going to be honest with you.
What are we doing wrong here?
As a former leader in the House, I think you can put your finger on it. It's called leadership. We don't have it.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps.
Good afternoon and welcome into the Happy Hump Day, Wednesday edition of the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show here on September the 20th, 2023. It's 4:06 in the p.m. Central Daylight Time. Joey and I in our overly ostentatious studios here in the Heartland. Chris Arps is the vacationing Chris Arps, but he joins us through the magic powers of remote radio in Hilton Head, South Carolina. Chris, how you doing this afternoon? Everything good there?
Everything is good here. It's a nice sunny day on the beach and ready to get the show going, man. We got a lot to talk about today.
Yes, we do, Chris. From Attorney General Merrick Garland being a lying leftist loser, a loser, as Donald Trump would say, up on Capitol Hill, to Joey just brought to my attention something I saw this morning and forgot about, but almost blew me away because I didn't know the tweets weren't real. Don Jr.'s Twitter account got hacked, and boy, did it. I think you just saw that story as well, Chris. And lots more. Chris, we're going to be joined by one of our favorite guests and friends of the show to tell us what is going on from sea to shining sea regarding presidential politics and state-level contests. Robert Cahaly, senior strategist and pollster at the famous Trafalgar Group. He'll be talking to us about Iowa, New Hampshire, South Carolina, all the presidential polling, the important Senate races, and so much more. Chris, I'm always excited when we have Robert on because he takes all the noise that's out there, distills it down, and gives it to all of us so we can understand exactly what's happening.
And not only that, Tim, he is one of the best pollsters around. 2016, he was named the most accurate pollster. He got that again in 2018 and 20. His polling was very accurate. The only thing I hate about having him on today, Tim, is we're going to have to hear him gloat about the Atlanta Braves probably. But other than that, I love Robert Cahaly.
He did kind of feel sorry for our St. Louis Cardinals last time he was going on because I think he, like any good sports fan, likes a good rivalry. And when, you want to beat the other team, but you don't want the other team to be just so beaten down that they're completely irrelevant. Unfortunately, that's pretty much where the Cardinals are, Chris, Chris and I haven't talked about the Cardinals much because there's been nothing to talk about. Yeah. Folks, they're limping to the end of the season. The one good thing, the one bright shining moment, Chris, was the other night when good old what's his little nickname there, Joey?
Wayno?
What else does he call himself? Uncle Charlie.
Oh, yes.
Good
his
old
Twitter name.
Good old Uncle Charlie. Chris got his 200th win, a really remarkable career.
Yeah, and I think it only took about 8 starts.
I know.
To get that 200th win. He ended up giving up, about 40 runs in those 8 starts. But he got that 200th win, which is a really big deal. I didn't know it was as big a deal as it is. I think only 26 pitchers in the major leagues have scored 200 wins. So good for Wayno. He can ride off into the sunset on a high note. And hopefully the Cardinals can retool next year and be back where they need to belong in the hunt of things in the NL Central.
Let's hope so. We'll talk. I do like the playoffs, and even though the Cardinals will not be in the playoffs this year, I do get excited about playoff stuff, whether it's NFL, Major League Baseball. Are you popping a cold one there, Chris Arps?
No, it's a bubbly soda. I didn't know you guys could hear that.
Loud and clear.
I can see it on the camera.
I thought it was Joey. It was so loud and clear.
Look, here it is.
There it is.
It's a bubbly soda. It is not a beer.
Very
Jeff,
good.
I'm not drinking on air if you're listening while you're on vacation.
I've heard of canned
and
wine.
Joe, I'm not drinking on air.
It's okay if you are. You're not driving. Joey's driving. Joey's driving the show today. Chris, that's a good reminder, though. That's a good reminder. Folks, you can watch us if you're into that sort of thing. If you'd like to watch along to the show, which allows you to also chat along with the show. You can chat with us on Facebook, on Rumble. Our Rumble channel, nearly 17,000 subscribers. Facebook, we're close to 4,500 followers. We've, of course, got the Twitter feed at News Talk STL. And, Joey, are we on YouTube or not? Is that just a rumor, or are we on YouTube again? Do we know?
Set up a station-wide and all-encompassing YouTube channel. And then the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show, they have a YouTube as well, but I only post clips on there because I don't want to lose it again. It means so much to me that I only post little clips on there. They made me take a quiz the other day about spreading disinformation. The channel is basically shadow
Facebook
banned.
did? YouTube did?
Did you pass?
I did pass. Yeah, it said basically that you've been shadow banned until you take this test. And it gave me all these examples of what disinformation and misinformation was, and I had to answer them correctly.
Wow.
To get us unshadow banned.
Oh, my gosh. I didn't know all this was going on behind the scenes. Joey is capable of doing everything. Amy jumped on. She's an early bird on the Facebook chat. So hello, Amy. Thanks for going along with us for the ride. So, Chris, we've got Robert Cahaly. I don't know how we got onto that subject. We just got to. But we started with Robert Cahaly, so we'll finish with him. 425. That'll be in our second segment right after this first one. And then, Chris, around 445 will be today's Daily Chris's Corner.
Yeah, and I'm going to talk about the Senate dress code that was relaxed yesterday for Senator Fetterman. Republicans are not happy about it, as you would think. 46 senators signed a letter, and some of them have some comments about it, and we'll talk about that at 4:45 on Chris's Corner.
Excellent indeed. Speaker's stump speech, Chris, I'm actually going to dovetail off of that because it's funny that you and I were thinking about the same subject today.
We're having a mind meld.
We are. So the title of today's stump speech is Making a mockery. And so since you're going to focus heavily on Fetterman, I'll just touch on that. But I'm also, Chris, going to tie in a story that came out today about what the Biden administration is doing as to the Second Amendment. So they're making a mockery not only of dress codes, but of our Constitution itself. So you'll have a little yin and yang there with Chris's Corner and the Speaker's stump speech. Chris, we're going to have one of our most entertaining and delightful supporters of this station. He's been with us, man, I'll tell you, not almost from the beginning, a little
Day
bit,
one, almost, hasn't he?
almost after we first started. We're very happy he's still with us because, man, being a small business owner in Joe Biden's America is tough, as we all know personally, running a small business here. Everett Jones, owner and operator of Jones Air and Water. You can be a filter or buy a filter. Everett will be in studio to talk about all the things you should be doing with your homestead or your business as we flip the calendar pages here, head into fall and winter. There's lots you need to do to make sure that your home or your business is operating at peak efficiency. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the world of being a small business owner and how that's going in these difficult times, and other things that are affecting his world at 525.
You know, since he has been with us almost since the beginning of the station and show, do you think we can call him EJ now?
I wonder what his nicknames are. You know what? Somebody told me one of his nicknames once. It was very funny, and I'm trying to remember what it was. I'm curious to see if he still looks like Santa Claus or not. You know, because last time he was growing that beard out. Yeah.
I think you told me that he has a nickname that his family gave him when he was younger and stuff, but I can't remember what it was. Maybe he'll divulge it to us later.
All his secrets. Yes, so we've got tons to get to. So as we mentioned, Attorney General Garland was up on Capitol Hill today, and Chris, I watched just pieces of the testimony. I listened to a lot of the clips. I've seen a lot of the stories. You know, Chris, whenever the questioning got tough, he knows to pull the old trick out there, which protects you from any potential future perjury charges, and then you don't have to answer the question either, so it's kind of like a twofer. I can't quite recollect, Chris, what that discussion was. He pulled that card out many, many times today. Anytime the questioners got even close to anything about Joe and Hunter Biden's international bribery schemes.
And I know that he was scheduled to testify today. Was this a one-day thing, or does he have to come back tomorrow?
I don't know. That's a great question. And I'm wondering if it's just the House. Today was the House. I don't know if it's a 2-day or if it's a Senate thing. I'm not really sure.
Mm-hmm. And I tell you what, Tim, I think these guys know well in advance when they have these appearances before the Senate. And I think one of the reasons why he appointed the special counsel was when he came before this Senate hearing, he could say, well, I can't talk about this. Weiss is taking care of this. I can't comment on that. I can't give you any information because this is an active investigation.
Yep. And
I don't have anything to do with it.
And despite all of the massive criticism and the questions about Weiss and the conflicting testimony that even Merrick Garland has previously given, of course, now today, it's that the discussion points were basically that David Weiss is the best federal prosecutor that ever walked the planet, and he has full confidence in him, blah, 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 so on and so forth. It's like that new commercial that's out there, yada, 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 yada. That's what a lot of the testimony was today.
Tim, I want to ask you this as a former prosecutor there in New York City, and if Weiss is supposed to be such a great prosecutor, does it normally take 5 years to bring a simple gun charge against someone like they did against Hunter? Is that a 5-year investigation?
You know, Chris,
in case?
I think the nicest thing I could say about him would be he'd be a slow prosecutor. You know,
okay, slow prosecutor.
No, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, Chris. When we would get comparable charges into state court, which I handled a lot of misdemeanor, firearms possession charges and things like that, unlawful use of a weapon, things like that. We handled those in district court. No, you had timelines and requirements. You had people were always monitoring your stats and statistics of how slow or fast you were moving cases. There's no way a charge like that, unless, of course, someone was purposefully slow walking it. I mean, I can only think of one case, Chris. There was a really bizarre case that had to do with a house being burned down, but there was a lot of extenuating circumstances. So yes, it would be a very, very, very unusual situation indeed, where a firearms case and or involving potential tax invasion. I mean, look, we're not talking about a lot of complicated charges here. It would take over 5 years to investigate, especially, Chris, when you have the entire laptop of hell. You have the evidence catalog sitting right there in front of your face as Exhibit A.
And my next question for you, Tim, as a former prosecutor, how many deals did you give to defendants where it was basically a get out of jail free card, and anything that they were investigating, that you were investigating the defendant about, you weren't going to charge them with, that was in their plea deal? Is that a regular thing in the prosecutor's office?
You know, that really doesn't fall underneath the oath of office that prosecutors take. No, you're supposed to. Now,
but Weiss is the greatest prosecutor ever, remember?
Right, who can't find a charge against Hunter Biden if his life depended on it. You know what it took, Chris? It took a federal judge basically slapping him across the knuckles and saying, this is the crappiest plea deal I've ever seen. Go back to the drawing board and come back. It was like he looked at David Weiss's homework and was like, this is a giant incomplete. You need to go home and redo this and bring it back. I mean, it was really a scolding by the district court. So no, if David Weiss is such a great prosecutor, both these things can't be true. He can't be the greatest prosecutor of all time and yet unable to prosecute these charges against Hunter Biden, which anyone without a law degree could have figured this out by now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Remember, Tim, I just had my point and I forgot it. It'll come to me. Sorry.
No worries. No worries at all.
That's frustrating. I did have a margarita a couple hours ago, but I don't think that's affecting me.
Maybe you ate too many of those shrimp that you were. I was so jealous. You said you had the best shrimp yesterday.
They were, man. They were just so fresh. You could tell that these were fresh seafood, and it was very good.
You know, I know we're diverting here quite a bit, but. You know, Chris, It's true. I mean, there are some great seafood restaurants in St. Louis. There is nothing like getting seafood near a body of salt water. If you're on the coast or in the Gulf, right? It just tastes better and fresher no matter what.
And speaking of seafood, Tim, you are the segue king. Our good friend Nick Zervos, who works for Channel 4 News, he stopped by my house yesterday, but of course we're in South Carolina and we have the Ring Cam, so I could talk to him.
Oh.
But Channel 4 in the Post-Dispatch did a story yesterday on the seafood market in U City that's literally right by my house that they closed down at the beginning of the year. The health department closed them down. And, they have live seafood in there. So they left it in there, Tim.
No.
And the smell was beginning to become horrific. I mean, I never smelled it. My wife said she smelled it when she was going out doing her walking. And a neighbor of mine, he said that there was all of a sudden a lot of flies around his house. And I was like, you know what? That makes sense, because about 6 weeks ago, we had like 5 or 6 flies were like in my office, and we hadn't been leaving the door open or windows open, and you kill 5 or 6 of them, and then there'd be 5 or 6 more that would like show up in like 20 minutes. And I was like, what in the world? Where in the hell are all these flies coming from? But that's what it's from. It's a story, was in the Post-Dispatch. They did a story on it too. But just grody. Tim, they talk about in the story where these people, a company is going in there to clean that stuff up. They're in hazmat suits. It's so bad in there that the 4 workers were in the place cleaning up, that the smell and everything took their appetite away, that all 4 of them shared a large bag of McDonald's fries, and they couldn't eat it all. That's how grody and nasty it was.
There's nothing worse than seafood gone bad. There really isn't. It's hard to beat that one for sure.
Imagine seafood that's been gone bad for like the last 4 months.
I think I may.
That's been in that building. I'm sorry. I hope nobody was eating or anything.
No, it's a little early for dinner unless you're doing the senior citizen special bonanza. So we're all good.
Or on the East Coast.
That's right. Hey, speaking of Wednesday, which today is, the News Talk STL newsletter just came out this afternoon. If you didn't get it, you're missing out. There's a great piece on there about how the left across the planet has lit their hair on fire, courtesy of 2 of our state senators, Eigel and Schroer. We talked about this yesterday with the flamethrower incident involving cardboard boxes. There's also an update on the UAW strike. There's some great cartoons in there from Todd Showalter and so much more. Just go to newstalkstl.com. Sign up for our newsletter. You're going to want to be on the front end of getting that every single week. It's a great way to keep up to speed on everything we're discussing here.
One last thing, Tim. I know you get the Missouri Scout because you send it to me, you know, the insider kind of newsletter.
Yes, sir.
Did you see the headline that the KC Star put up about the Bill Eigel, Nick Schroer? I mean, Bill Eigel, candidate, says that he will burn books. I was like, this is the most disingenuous headline I've ever seen in my life. And you guys earned your KC Red Star moniker that we called them with that headline. I mean, that was just...
They did.
Come on,
they did.
seriously.
And I think Eigel is thinking about reporting them for a campaign contribution because he's smiling running in a Republican primary, you know? So,
exactly.
Yeah. They've lived up to their moniker of being complete and utter trash. All right, it is about to become 4:23 in the afternoon. That means that up next is Robert Cahaly. We're going to talk to the great pollster about polling in the presidential primary on both sides of the aisle, about these important early states. It is only a few months. It's like barely 3 months until the Iowa caucuses and so much more. So Chris and I will break all of that down, bring you up to speed on everything you need to know about election 2024 with Robert Cahaly next on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show. 101.9, 94.1, News Talk STL.
Dropping truth bombs and making you think. It's the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. A few light showers are possible throughout the evening, even overnight into Thursday morning, low of 64. A high of 82. The best chance of rain Thursday is in the morning, but we could still see a spot shower, thunder shower in the afternoon to early evening. Again, a high of 82 with mostly cloudy skies Thursday. 82 on Friday, 50% chance for some scattered showers or a thunder shower. That's the latest First Alert 4 forecast. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
Hey, it's Katie, reminding you to subscribe to our show podcast so you never miss anything that happens here at News Talk STL. Get our podcasts every day on the show pages at newstalkstl.com or just subscribe to your favorite shows on Spotify, Apple, Google, Amazon, or anywhere else you get your podcasts.
Folks, it is definitely changing times. Times are a changing here, especially economically in the real estate market. I know a lot of us are really uncertain about what's next. Nobody really knows what's going to happen. However, we can tell you what the present holds. And if you talk to the Wallner Home Selling Team, Rodney and Jen Wallner at Berkshire Hathaway, they'll tell you it's still a great time to be a seller. Still very much a seller's market. So don't be nervous about investigating whether you should sell your home or not. I want you to call Rodney and Jen at 314-810-SOLD and have that discussion with them. They are such incredibly approachable people. I've spent so much time with Rodney and Jen in business situations and settings and social settings. They are who they are. You get what you get, and that's wonderful people who know so much about the real estate industry. A husband and wife team that gives you a unique family perspective. They're going to offer you a flexible commission plan tailored to your needs, not just some random cookie cutter model. That's going to have a no obligation, no long-term commitment clause in it. And they want you to know that they're selling so many homes that they're going to guarantee they've got so many approved home buyers that they're going to guarantee to obtain you an offer, you sellers. Call the Wallner Home Selling Team today for a free listing consultation, 314-810-SOLD. Sell your home with this top-producing real estate team. This is what they do 24/7, 365. They're not just weekend warriors, experts in the industry, licensed in both Missouri and Illinois. 314-810-SOLD. Rodney and Jen Wallner at 314-810-SOLD.
Hey, Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros. When Christine and I bought our new house, we knew the gutters were an issue, and after meeting the Gutter Pros team, we knew that they were right for us. Gutter Pros is your all-in-one gutter service team that offers a variety of affordable solutions, and they even offer free estimates, so there's no cost to you to find out if they are right for your home, just like they were for ours. If you're having a problem with your gutters, contact the Gutter Pros now, because with Gutter Pros, water goes where they tell it to. Call them at 314-656-7195 or visit gutterpros.com.
Hundreds of homeowners and businesses had or will have water main breaks.
Wellington Environmental has a warning. You can clean up the water, but if you're not checking areas where the water leaked in the walls where you can't see it, you could end up exposing your family, your employees, your clients to hazardous mold. Wellington Environmental reminds you, if that mold is not detected, properly treated, removed, that is a risk, a liability you do not want. Wellington clients, including hospitals and schools, trust Wellington to make their environments safe. Call 314-644-4930, 644-4930. AAA rating with the Better Business Bureau, 314-644-4930. Wellington Environmental, your world, cleaner, better, safer. Be well with Wellington.
I'm Susie Moore, and this is More to the Point. As shock jocks go, Howard Stern belongs in the pantheon. That said, I was never really a fan. There was a stretch of time, maybe the late 90s, when I occasionally listened to his show, primarily because that's what was on and I didn't feel like changing the station. I do recall seeing his biopic, Private Parts, and finding it surprisingly good, but to be honest, I haven't thought about Stern in years. So I found his recent denouncement of Congresswoman Lauren Boebert's frisky theater escapade surprising on a couple of fronts. First, because I'd pretty much forgotten about him, but more importantly, because I'm now consumed with curiosity as to when the raunchiest of raunch monsters became the church lady. I did not have Howard Stern clutching his pearls over someone getting handsy in a theater on my bingo card. In fact, I'm going to go out on a limb and bet that no one did, because his reaction is totally out of character for him, or at least the Stern of days gone by. That Stern would have been drooling over Boebert's dress, or rather what it revealed, not condemning it, which tells me everything I need to know about his branding Boebert a disgrace, that it's pure politics. Well, isn't that special?
Susie Moore is Deputy Managing Editor for RedState.com. For more to the point and everything Susie Moore, log on to RedState.com. Follow Susie on Twitter @SmoozyQ and keep listening to 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL. This hour of Jones and Arps is brought to you by Stifel. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at Stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. Like and subscribe to us on Rumble. News Talk STL.
I did Meet the Press this weekend. They got fantastic ratings. I call it Meet the Fake Press. I sat down for an hour, and then I did a Megyn Kelly, and it would be, I think, 32 questions on 32 different subjects. And Biden can't do that. Biden can't. Maybe one question where he goes, okay, I'll take a question from, wait. I want ABC Ruth. And then she gives him a question, and then he reads the answer. Here's the answer.
Welcome back to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show, 1019 94.1 News Talk STL, newstalkstl.com. Chris, I would say that time the former president was not exaggerating, right? If anybody watched the recent press conference that Joe Biden did in Vietnam, what Donald Trump just said there was pretty accurate as to how Biden is these days. I don't know. What say you?
It was very accurate. You know, there are some out there, probably on the left side of the political spectrum, will say that the president was being insensitive there, but he was telling the truth.
Yeah, and sometimes, Chris, the truth hurts. That's for sure. Let's see.
It does.
Let's see how this is affecting voters. Is it affecting voters? Well, we got the guy to ask here. Our very good friend from from the south of the Mason-Dixon line, Robert Cahaly, senior strategist, pollster of the famous Trafalgar Group, thetrafalgargroup.org, at Robert Cahaly with a C on Twitter. Robert, good afternoon. Thanks for joining us once again today.
And no praise bragging.
Well, you know, it is important to continue winning once you win the division to maintain a home field advantage. I don't know how they've forgotten that, but they we don't need to score all our runs in one game.
That is for sure.
But no, I tell you, it is really amazing to see this is the ultimate emperor has no clothes moment in this politics. That there's a mainstream. I mean, we talk about two tiers of justice, but there's two tiers of news coverage.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you look at the mainstream media and you do not see a single thing about Hunter Biden's connection to his father. You see very little criticism about what's happening and how out of it Biden is. And I remember when Trump had trouble on a ramp that was wet. Mm-hmm. They were all questioning his mental acuity and everything else. And so the side-by-side images are just shocking. It is certainly two levels of coverage. I think if Trump had given away $6 billion for hostages, it would have been a bigger deal.
Absolutely. Robert, what I wanted to ask you was, is Biden's current state in what voters, like you said, the mainstream media tries to hide a lot of it, doesn't try to project it, but it's almost too impossible to ignore. Are we in a different place? Is the electorate in a different place as to how they view Biden and Trump as they were 3 years ago or not?
No, absolutely. I mean, there's no question about it. I mean, here's the thing: if you had asked a Biden to Trump rematch at any point in 2021, after Biden took office, people would think that was a joke. I mean, it would have been 70-30 Biden. So yeah, there's been a huge switch. One, people have got to see what Biden's economy looks like and compare it with Trump's economy. I mean, that's the first thing. If these two run again, we've never had this. In none of our lifetimes has two guys who have both been president been challenging each other and have the opportunity to say, which 4 years did you like better? That's never happened before. And so and Americans are very good with real apples to apples choices. Second, they've seen so few people are watching TV on televisions, and they're streaming TV and they're doing all this other stuff. So they're not necessarily getting the bias of the news in the way that they used to be. They're getting their news from their friends and stuff like that. Unfortunately, far too many are getting their news from Apple News and Alexa. But for the most part, what people are getting from their friends and the clips they're seeing and just the stuff that kind of carries, there's certain issues that carry and people kind of seep down to the average people, not the high information voters like all of us. That stuff is very anti-Biden. And, and then I've seen people saying the economy is getting better, and they're looking and saying, yeah, I'm using my credit card to pay the bills. And who's it getting better for?
All right. Robert, we are 11 days and counting from a government shutdown, really 10 because Monday is a holiday with Yom Kippur. Who does your polling say a government shutdown hurts more, Democrats or Republicans?
Well, I mean, basically the nation is divided such clearly into camps. It's going to come down to, both sides. There's so many people that are in their various tribes. With independents, what we're seeing is the independents want to understand why it shut down. If they can't pass a budget, or if they pass something, if the House passes something that the Senate won't go for, Biden won't sign, I think the Republicans could be in a strong position. If the Senate is the only thing who has passed the budget and the House seems dysfunctional and can't pass anything, then it could very easily get blamed on the House.
Folks, we're speaking to Robert Cahaly of the Trafalgar Group. Robert, we don't have much of anything in regards to off-year elections here in Missouri. There's a couple very isolated things that will be on the ballot, but for the most part, Missouri doesn't have a whole lot going on. But I know there's some other states that do have a lot going on. Can you tell us what are some of the major things that we might want to pay attention to? I'm thinking of the races in the Commonwealth of Virginia, Kentucky, Louisiana, that could possibly be bellwethers as we fully launch into 2024.
Yeah, certainly the Virginia Senate. Glenn Youngkin has spent a great deal of time and traveled around the country raising money for the Virginia Senate and gotten a lot of the most major Republican contributors to back his efforts there. I would look at the Louisiana governor's race. Louisiana has been a virtually red state with two Republican senators and at most, I think it's all but one Republican congressman, but has had a Democrat governor who got reelected. And so this year, if there's a possibility, I think there's a very strong possibility that Louisiana is going to put Jeff Landry in. He's a very strong candidate for governor as Republican. He's the sitting attorney general. I think that'll be very significant. There's also the Speaker of the House in Louisiana made a deal with the Democrats to get elected Speaker of the House until a lot of Republicans can't stand him. He's running for Secretary of State, seeing how well he does. Kind of said, where Republicans are going, whether he gets punished for that move. I checked, and we'll probably see a tight race in Kentucky for governor. We've got Cameron, who is the popular attorney general, who's taken some very hard stands and got a lot of criticism. One more very unnecessarily nasty GOP primary. Those two should have worked that out. And, versus the governor, who's been pretty popular. So that one's going to be close. And Kentucky's not really a bellwether. And the last one is going to be Mississippi, which is really curious. You have Tate Reeves running against a relative of Elvis named Presley.
Really?
Who has
I've heard
an excellent chance down there, but just because the legend of Elvis is what it is. But but I've also seen celebrity candidates not do so well. I think of the Richard Petty race for Secretary of State in North Carolina. So you never know whether this is going to be enough. I think the Republicanness of Mississippi in the end will probably retain Reeves, but it's much closer to the necessary race, probably because of the name.
Robert, the last time that we talked to you about Senator Tim Scott, and I think your polling said that a lot of primary voters were looking at him as a second place or second candidate outside of Trump. There's been a lot of reporting on his marital status lately. What is your polling saying about that? Are Republican primary voters concerned that he's single?
Well, they weren't at first when it wasn't really being talked about the way it was, and he's drawn a lot of attention to himself, talking about that he has a girlfriend, but he didn't name who it was, and nobody's seen a picture, and people are suggesting she isn't real. I have every reason to believe she is real, but it's like he by letting this it has become an issue. But I think more what we saw based on his comparison to this when talking about the striking UAW workers, I think it was yesterday or the day before, and he brought up the Reagan firing the air traffic controllers. Now, that's really not apples to apples because air traffic controllers work for the government. These people don't. I think he was trying to make a point about government money, but it kind of got lost, and it looked like, here he is as a Republican saying very anti-union things. I think that is probably going to hurt him a little worse. But lately he's been right behind DeSantis in Iowa, with Trump far out in first, and then DeSantis and him closer to Iowa, and then everybody else in the distance. And the debate also probably wasn't great for him. And it's not that he didn't do a good job. It's that Scott just doesn't have that. There's not just a compelling reason. It's like he does. He is such a nice guy, but he doesn't give you anything to put your arms on. I'm for Tim Scott because. You can't say nice guy. So that's what we're seeing there. In New Hampshire, whereas we have seen DeSantis in second and Christie in third. I think this is another state that I feel like we're seeing some moves from Haley. I think I would not be surprised to see Haley kind of moving faster there. She had a good debate. she also had the CNN poll that showed her the most likely to beat Biden. And there are a lot, now, whether that was real, whether that was CNN trying to do what they do, no one knows, but she has certainly been using that as saying, hey, I'm the best chance. And that has been working for her. So I expect to see her moving up a little bit more aggressively in New Hampshire. And then, of course, South Carolina, where Haley, DeSantis, and Scott have kind of been in a three-way tie within a point of each other behind Trump.
Robert, speaking of the big kahunas you just mentioned, the first two contests, Iowa and New Hampshire, what is the current snapshot in time? Is Donald Trump still dominating in those? We are several weeks now since they dropped the last indictment on him. I guess we've all been waiting for a fifth one, but that hasn't happened yet. So the storyline is what the storyline is. Is Trump still dominating in Iowa and New Hampshire, or has anything changed?
Yeah, he has a very significant lead, over 30 points. So in most every poll has him well over 30 points. And Emerson and Iowa State are the most recent two. And if there is a university poll that we have any faith in, it is Emerson. That's the only other university poll you should ever pay attention to. And they do exceptional work. And so that's what they're showing, and they're still showing Scott in third, and DeSantis maintaining. I mean, DeSantis is just maintaining. I mean, he has not moved up. He's not moved down. He's just kind of hanging in there.
Robert, before we finish up here, and I don't know if you've done any polling on this, but are the Dallas Cowboys still considered America's team?
Well, the Dallas Cowboys are America's team, the Atlanta Braves are America's team. I think everybody knows these things. I don't think there's any question about these things. They go back to the Superstation and the days of Tom Landry. Everybody saw the Braves around the country. You had to pick the Braves or the Cubs back in the day before everybody had cable.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have any question, and I think both America's teams are going to do well this year.
Mm-hmm. It sure does definitely
Full
look
disclosure,
like it.
Full disclosure, Robert, I'm a huge Dallas Cowboys fan. I don't know if you knew that.
Well, I'm glad to hear it. Yeah, I tell you what, it's I don't want to get too excited. I'm trying to stay calm. I am, because I've been waiting on this for a long time. I think it was the last Super Bowl was 96 with the 95 season, and the Braves won the World Series in 95. And it's like, that was the best year ever, and we need that again.
Well, we will definitely be watching the end of the Major League Baseball season and the beginning of the NFL. And we'll talk to Robert Cahaly again as we roll through election 2024. He's at the Trafalgar Group, the trafalgargroup.org. Robert, it's always a pleasure. Thanks for joining Chris and I again today.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Robert.
Have a great day. Yes, sir.
You too as well. Folks, if you go to the trafalgargroup.org, Robert and his crew are kind enough to put up quite a bit of their polling. A lot of people pay a lot of money for some of this polling, but there's some that he does publish free of charge. You can check out everything that Chris and I and Robert just dived into today, and you can look at all the nitty-gritty. It's really some great detail and some great data. Chris, you mentioned that Chris's Corner is going to feature John Fetterman talking about the U.S. Senate and the new Senate dress code.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about the backlash of that dress code being changed. And the Republican senators, 46 of them, sent a letter to Schumer showing their displeasure.
Mm-hmm. Chris will dive into the details of that on Chris's Corner, which is up next. Go nowhere. That's in a couple secondos right around the corner. 101.9, 94.1. The Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show. Thanks for listening to us today here at News Talk STL.
Like us on Facebook at News Talk STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. A few light showers are possible throughout the evening, even overnight into Thursday morning, a low of 64. A high of 82. The best chance of rain Thursday is in the morning, but we could still see a spot shower, thunder shower in the afternoon to early evening. Again, a high of 82 with mostly cloudy skies Thursday. 82 on Friday, 50% chance for some scattered showers or a thunder shower. That's the latest First Alert 4 forecast. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
The news and talk
I'm the only person in the history of politics
that matters to St. Louis.
that's been indicted, whose poll numbers went up 25 points or something.
101.9 and 94.1.
Right?
I don't think they're going to stop him.
News Talk STL.
Well, I mentioned it a little earlier in the week, just how proud we are to have Royal Banks of Missouri sponsor News Talk STL and the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show. And they are also the sponsor of Jim Talent segment that we have every Monday at 4:25. We are proud to partner with them because Royal Banks of Missouri has one of the highest rankings for stability and strength. And that's very important these days when we're hearing all of these troubles about banks and bailouts and ratings being lowered. Royal Banks of Missouri has 17 convenient locations. They have locations up in Northeast Missouri, in Hannibal, and across the river in Granite City, Illinois. 2 locations in St. Charles, Missouri. They also have 200 ATMs, so you can easily access your money wherever you are. And they're going to be replacing those ATMs with ITMs, interactive teller machines, where you can actually see a teller and basically do your inside banking inside your car. Royal Banks of Missouri can take care of all your home mortgage needs, your business banking needs, auto loans, or wealth management. They've got you covered. RoyalBanksMissouri.com, RoyalBanksMO.com. That's the website where you can go for more information. Royal Banks of Missouri, the community bank that is in your community.
We're here with our great friends, Kathy and Rob Connor from Connor Roofing. One thing I love about your company, Kathy, is customer service.
We pride ourselves on making sure our customers are happy, and you can check out our Google reviews. We're very proud of that as well. And if you're not happy, we will do what it takes to fix the problem.
Well, that's just it. You set expectations, and we like to really educate our customers, and it gets done the way we said we were going to do it.
Call Connor Roofing, 314-375-7475, or ConnorRoofing.com. That's CONNER roofing.com.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness 101. Wellness 101 is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on News Talk STL. For more information, visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
Getting a new floor for your home can be intimidating and a little scary. But that's not the case when you go to Michael's Flooring Outlet. Katie here, and my mom and dad used Michael's, and they had a great experience. They've been a locally owned and operated family business for more than 30 years. You want variety? Michael's has carpet, hardwood, laminate, ceramic tile, luxury vinyl, natural stone, and many other options. Shop in-store at one of their 3 locations in Creve Coeur, Dardine Prairie, or St. Peters. Check out everything that Michael's has to offer at igotfloored.com.
Columbo here with an awesome offer from the cleaning pros we trust with our home, the team at Zero Res. Mention the Columbo special when you book a cleaning in September, and you'll get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned starting at just $129 plus $100 off your air duct cleaning, which is perfect this time of year because it will help alleviate allergies and asthma, lower your energy bills, and keep your home cleaner longer. Just mention the Columbo special when you call 314-474-2020 or book online at ZeroResSTL.com.
This Saturday night at 10 on Stories of New Americans.
I'm joined by Yuri Bolato from Korea. How was it coming to America? Was that tough?
No, I love St. Louis. St. Louis is a kind of city, like a countryside half and city side half. And so that's why I really love St. Louis. Very, very intelligent city.
Oh.
I love that, yeah.
Stories of New Americans. Saturday nights at 10 on News Talk STL.
On the next, Larry Connor's USA.
So we have a date set. Starting tomorrow, the House Oversight Committee will begin its first impeachment inquiry into Joe Biden.
Larry Connor's USA. Now, weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL. This hour of Jones and Arps is brought to you by Stifel. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. Follow Tim Jones on Twitter at Speaker Tim Jones.
Have you had personal contact with anyone at FBI headquarters about the Hunter Biden investigation?
I don't recollect the answer to that question, but the FBI works for the Justice Department. It's.
I'm sorry. You don't recollect whether you've talked with anybody at FBI headquarters about an investigation of the president's son?
I don't believe that I did. I promised the Senate when I came before it for confirmation that I would leave Mr. Weiss in place and that I would not interfere with his investigation.
Okay,
I have kept that promise.
All right.
One of the biggest corruption stories in the last 100 years, Chris, and Merrick Garland just can't remember if he's talked with anybody about it at any time. Maybe not, really don't know.
You know, Tim, if Merrick Garland would have been connected to a lie detector machine, I think he would have started smoking. The thing would have been vibrating, probably would have fell on the floor. Just, I'm not an expert on lying, but just listening to that didn't sound very truthful to me.
Yes. Isn't that interesting, Chris, when you listen to something like that, when you're not watching the video, that means your ears are really on high alert because all you have is the audio. And I agree with you. The cadence of his voice, the catching in his throat, the uncomfortable way he answered, liar, I think is what we would say to that.
My brain just screamed out, that dude lying.
Well, Chris, whether it's Merrick Garland, who doesn't seem to be fit for public service because he can't recollect some of the most major important issues and facts of the day, or whether it's John Fetterman, Chris, who doesn't seem like he even wants to be in the U.S. Senate or in public service, the Democrats just seem to be so incredibly dysfunctional these days.
They are dysfunctional. Let's talk about that a little more on Chris's Corner.
Chris.
And if you don't know, now you know.
And now, Chris's Corner.
You know, Tim, it's very rare these days that you have 46 Republican senators agree on anything, but this is one thing that they do agree on. And Senator Rick Scott is circulating a letter among his fellow Republicans objecting to the Sergeant-at-Arms decision to no longer enforce rules for the Senate chamber. We know, of course, that Senator Schumer is spearheading that. The letter says, allowing casual clothing on the Senate floor disrespects the institution we serve and the American families we represent. I think we can agree on that. Senator John Cornyn said it shows a lack of respect for the institution and for each other. Chuck Grassley, who's been in the Senate for probably close to 50 years, says it stinks. You've got to depend on the majority leader or the leaders generally to behold the traditional form of the Senate, he said. Now, this is objectionable when you have Mitt Romney, who sides with his fellow senators. He said, what do you think judges should wear? Shorts and T-shirts when they sit on the stand? Yeah, this is just pitiful. We had Senator Tim Talent on Monday. He was in the Senate for 4 years, and he said that this is absolutely abhorrent to allow a man to be on the Senate floor with a hoodie and shorts. And what I want to know, Tim, I mean, I could see if he had some type of medical condition or he had an exemption that he needs to wear hoodies and shorts. What's the reason for this? Just because this is what he's used to and this is why he's the most comfortable? I don't get it. Senator Joe Manchin, who's always been a thorn in the side of his fellow Democrats, he sided with the Republicans on this one. He said, he's told Fetterman this, quote, John, I think it's wrong, and there's no way I can comply with that whatsoever, and I think it basically degrades the institution. I think John Fetterman being elected to the Senate degrades the institution. The man, we've heard him, he can't put a sentence together. He sounds like Joe Biden half the time, and now we're going to accommodate him by throwing out 200 years of rules and decorum. So John Fetterman, Lurch, as many call him, can wear hoodies and shorts. I think it's a bad thing for the Senate, and I think Chuck Schumer should reevaluate this and tell John Fetterman, look, dude, I'll take you down to Men's Warehouse. I'll take you down to the department store. I'll buy you a suit if you need a suit, and they need to take up a collection plate and buy that man a suit so he can get out of his hoodies and sweatshirts. And Tim, Joey, that's Chris's Corner.
Chris, the pictures of him walking around in these it looks like Omar the tent maker married. It's like Homer Simpson wearing a muumuu, right? And he looks just like a goofball. There's pictures of him. First, he's kind of a big, goofy guy to begin with. There's pictures of him surrounded by people in suits and ties, and then he looks like he's like an extra, like you said, from like the Munsters. But at least Lurch wore a little bow tie and a white starched shirt. Yeah. Chris, when you ruin decorum like that, you're ruining the institution, right?
Exactly. And he stands out, too, not because he's not wearing a suit, because the dude's 6'7".
Yes.
So he's going to extra stand out wearing hoodies and shorts.
Could not agree with you more. I'm going to segue out of that in talking about an additional expansion of that on making a mockery of pretty much everything, from John Fetterman to the Second Amendment and everything in between. That's up in the Speaker Stump Speech next. 1019-94.1 News Talk STL.
Hi, Sean Long for STL Fenceworks. STL Fenceworks is proud and excited to install American-made aluminum and vinyl fence products, as well as American-made decking. For instance, STL Fenceworks has teamed up with Jareth Manufacturing. Jareth invented the aluminum fence industry over 50 years ago. The Jareth product is wholly sourced and manufactured in the U.S., and STL Fenceworks is the third largest Jareth customer in the world. STL Fenceworks is vinyl fencing also, and not just white. We partner with National Vinyl Products to provide you with tan, clay, gray, and variegated wood grain vinyl fence products too, all made in the U.S. Not to be forgotten, STL Fenceworks is maintenance-free decking. STL Fenceworks is the #1 distributor of Wolf Cellular PVC in the Midwest, proudly manufactured in the U.S. and voted #1 maintenance-free decking product in the United States. Let STL Fenceworks make your outdoor space magical. Visit stlfenceworks.com today and learn how we can make your backyard dreams into a reality. At STL Fenceworks, your satisfaction is our passion.
Is your portfolio prepared for the biggest risks facing investors today? Hi, it's Tim Jones. High inflation and a rapidly changing economy may impact your investments. If you haven't made appropriate changes, your portfolio may not be positioned to address some of the biggest risks in today's economy. That means it's time to request your free portfolio review from the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel. You can hear their latest views on the markets and investing during On the Money, hosted by Stifel financial advisors Bob Stockdale and Eric Robert, every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. on News Talk STL 101.9. They can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create a portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free portfolio review, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com, 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas & Company, Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
KLDY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNVS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
I'm Keith Peters reporting. A Mexican railway operator has announced it's suspending train runs in the northern part of the country because so many illegal migrants heading to the U.S. are climbing aboard freight cars and getting hurt in the process.
The Ferromex Railway says it has temporarily ordered a halt to 60 trains, which could adversely affect Mexico's commerce. The company said in a statement that in recent days, there have been about a half dozen regrettable cases of injuries or deaths amongst migrants hopping freight cars. The company, part of Grupo Mexico, said some even hopped on moving freight cars with children. Migrants have long used the trains known collectively as the Beast. About a decade ago, the Mexican government briefly staged raids on the trains to discourage the practice, but later largely abandoned that effort. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
There's a cheese recall. Correspondent Rita Foley reports.
Kraft Heinz is recalling some processed cheese slices because part of the wrapper could stick to the slice and become a choking hazard. The company says there haven't been any injuries or serious health issues reported. Now, here's what's included in the recall. 16-ounce Kraft Singles American Pasteurized Prepared Cheese product with a best when used by date between January 10 and January 27 of next year. And 3-pound multi-packs of Kraft Singles American Pasteurized Prepared Cheese product with a best when used by date between January 9 and January 13th of next year. I'm Rita Foley.
House Republicans have clashed with Attorney General Merrick Garland, accusing him of the weaponization of its work under President Biden. They grilled Garland about Special Prosecutor David Weiss's investigation of the president's son, Hunter Biden. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 76 points. The Nasdaq dropped 209. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Relief Factor, pain relief that's natural, pain relief that works, and pain relief that attacks the source of the pain. That's the experience of tens of thousands of Americans who are taking Relief Factor right now. See their incredible video endorsements at relieffactor.com and then order your 3-week quick starter pack for just $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. Find out if it can work for you like it works for me by ordering your 3-week quick starter pack today. Relieffactor.com, relieffactor.com. Be the next success story.
To my newborn baby boy, the day you arrived was one of the happiest days of my life. Right up there with the day I bought my RV from that guy on the internet and insured it with Progressive. What a deal. Just know, son, I'll always be here for you. And by here, I mean in the middle of absolutely nowhere. In my RV.
Protect your baby with an RV policy from Progressive. Take as little as 4 minutes to see what you could save at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. A few light showers are possible throughout the evening, even overnight into Thursday morning, a low of 64. A high of 82. The best chance of rain Thursday is in the morning, but we could still see a spot shower, thunder shower in the afternoon to early evening. Again, a high of 82 with mostly cloudy skies Thursday. 82 on Friday, 50% chance for some scattered showers or a thunder shower. That's the latest First Alert 4 forecast. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD.
Tony Colombo here for Cadre Asset Management. A cadre is defined as a small group of people specially trained for a particular purpose or profession, and that is the role that Cadre Asset Management can play in your financial journey. Learn more about how they can help secure your financial future by following Cadre Asset Management on Facebook or just go to cadreassetmgmt.com.
Cadre Asset Management is a Missouri-based independent advisory firm licensed under and securities and investment advisory services offered through Founders Financial Securities, LLC, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA SIPC.
In a world where heroes walk among us shines the David Dorn Foundation. Named after a true hero, our foundation empowers those who risk their lives to protect us every day. We stand tall with unwavering dedication to provide our first responders with equipment often not supplied.
But we can't do it alone. We need your generosity of a few volunteer hours to provide our first responders with the tools they desperately need to save lives and keep our communities safe. Visit DornFoundation.com now to be part of our critical progress.
Talk radio made in St. Louis for St. Louis. This is News Talk STL.
Our responsibility.
News, analysis, and opinion.
To provide updated guidance.
At 1019, 941, and newstalkstl.com.
Telling you now about two awesome businesses right here in the St. Louis region, right next door to each other. So you get a twofer every time you visit either one of them. Espino's Mexican Grill, Hippo's Cannabis Dispensary, located right next door to each other in beautiful Chesterfield Valley at 17409 Chesterfield Airport Road, right in the heart of Chesterfield Valley there, right off of Interstate 6440. If you shop Hippo's on Tuesdays and spend $50 or more, you'll get 2 tacos from Espino's with a valid Hippo's lunch ticket. And when you're at Hippo's, you'll experience a great experience with their personal bud tenders, as they call them, to walk you through the entire process in case you've never been into a great store like Hippo's. You might even run into co-owners, investors, owners, Brett Hull, Kelly Chase, or Barrett Jackman at Hippo's. Espino's Mexican Grill, man, great Mexican cuisine. It is a fresh alternative to the typical Mexican fare you usually get around town. Once you go once, you'll be back often. They got the cool margarita garden out front. Inside, the delicious menu, the coldest drinks in town. Espino's Mexican Grill, Hippo's Cannabis Dispensary, located right next door to each other, 17409 Chesterfield Airport Road. Espino's Mexican Bar Grill.com, Hippo'sCannabis.com. If it's a bud tender or a bartender, they've got it all at 17409 Chesterfield Airport Road. Hippo's for the bud, Espino's for the best fresh alternative to ordinary Mexican food.
This hour of Jones and Arps brought to you by Window World. Simply the best for less. 314-993-1800 or visit windowworld.com. Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
The 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
The more you remove voting from Election Day, the more opportunity you're offering for people to commit fraud.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
I think the Democrats are so short-sighted in this tactic they have now to just cheat at any cost to win elections.
You're a lying, dog-faced pony soldier. You said you were, but now you got to be honest. I'm going to be honest with you.
What are we doing wrong here?
As a former leader in the House, I think you can put your finger on it. It's called leadership. We don't have it.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps.
When it comes to China, I want to be clear and consistent. We seek to responsibly manage the competition between our countries so it does not tip into conflict. I've said we are for de-risking, not decoupling with China. Stand ready to work together with China on issues where progress hinges on our common efforts. Nowhere is that more critical than accelerating the climate crisis, than the accelerating climate crisis.
Or whatever. Welcome back to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show. No one's paying attention to him anymore. 1019 94.1 News Talk STL, 5:08 in the p.m. Central Daylight Time here on a Wednesday. Happy Hump Day, September 20th, 2023. Chris Arps by my side, along with producer Joey V. Chris, I don't know that anyone, even in the Democratic Party, thinks that Joe Biden is the master of his faculties or much of anything else, which is really sad, Chris, because then we sit around and wonder who is making the decisions as the leader of the free world.
Well, what I want to know, Tim, you were a literature, English major in college. Is de-risking a word? What does that mean?
That's a good point, too. First of all, folks, if you missed it, we were accentuating the fact, we were highlighting the fact that Joe Biden once again misspoke. He's either misspeaking or his brain's just not functioning, maybe both at the same time.
Both.
So he talked about accelerating the climate crisis versus decelerating. Then, Chris, you're right. Earlier in that clip, de-risking. I don't know that that's
yeah.
It didn't sound right. It didn't sit well with me either. So I don't know. He just kind of bumbles and fumbles through every single thing. And Chris, let's be honest about the UN. And I'm really sad to say this. In high school and college, I participated in Model United Nations clubs and activities and got to travel around the country and go to these competitions. And it was a really great experience to learn about other nations and how they would advocate for themselves. But Chris, the real UN these days, I feel like it's a shell of its former purpose and being. It seems like it's a wholly owned subsidiary of really nefarious characters. They always bend the knee to China and to Iran and to Russia. And meanwhile, Chris, we're paying the bill, right? Like the U.S. is paying the bill for all these rogue, nefarious nations to basically scold us in the open public square every day at the UN.
The United Nations became a joke to me when it happens every other year, a couple of years, when North Korea or Iran will be head of the human rights coalition, whatever they call it, with the UN. And it's like, are you kidding me? Do you guys want to have any legitimacy left?
Yeah, excellent point, Chris. Yeah, for all of those reasons and so much more, it's just really ridiculous. We're going to have the Speaker Stump Speech. Speaking of making a mockery of things, it seems to be that's what the day du jour is over at the White House. Everything they touch just becomes lampooned and laughable. And meanwhile, they think they're the most serious people on earth. So we're going to continue to have that discussion. We're going to have Everett Jones joining us to talk about what you should be doing with your homesteads and your businesses as we head into fall regarding air and water at 5:25. Talk about small business concerns as well, how the economy is doing and how he is seeing things. I think that small business owners, they don't have a choice. They got to keep rocking and rolling and doing what they can to keep bringing the clients in the door. So we'll talk about that at 5:25. Chris, in the meantime, we've got a friend on the line we haven't heard from in a long time. Gene is standing by to speak with us today about Attorney General Garland's appearance on Capitol Hill. Gene, good afternoon. Great to hear from you, my friend. You're on the air. Go right ahead.
Hey, Gene.
Well, thank you very much for taking the call. Hi, gentlemen.
We missed you.
I wanted to bring back, if we could borrow from the great Maharishi's fantastic parodies regarding meritless Garland's comments. He did a thing with Hillary talking about all her denials and things. And at one point in this parody song, she just goes, "My mind is jello." There you go. That's, yeah.
Yep.
I think Jello is being generous with Joe Biden's mind, but that's just my opinion there, Gene.
Yep, that's for sure. And that's all I got at the moment.
Thank you, Gene. Appreciate you.
Gene,
Thanks.
welcome home. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks for listening as well, and for calling in. Merrick Garland, the biggest laugh line, Chris, out of Merrick Garland's testimony today was when he said something along the lines of, Americans don't get treated differently by this Department of Justice. I mean, are you kidding me? How many examples do we need to give him?
Yeah, it's almost he has to say that, but no one believes that. We've seen President Trump, 4 indictments. We've seen Hunter Biden, the lax treatment that they tried to give him. We've seen the January 6th protesters. Some of them have been in jail for a year, some in confinement. What do you call that? The confinement, solitary confinement.
Mm-hmm.
We have the Proud Boys leader yesterday who got last week got 22-year sentence. And again, Tim, I want to go back to your prosecutor experience again. 22 years for what he was allegedly did, but murderers get less time than that.
Yeah, Chris, that's not the equal scales of justice. Look, just because someone's guilty of something doesn't mean that you automatically lock the door and throw away the key, right, Chris? Like, for instance, a first-time offender for, a theft charge should probably not serve, and I'm just, let's use the January 6th things. A first-time offender for a trespassing charge should probably not have a greater sentence than someone who has committed first-degree murder, right? I mean, there's I always when I would talk about criminal prosecution or criminal defense, there's a lot of justice in both prongs of the equation. The first prong of the equation is guilt or not guilt, right? We don't talk about innocence. We talk about proving guilt or rendering a verdict of not guilty. Okay, once you do that, then you don't automatically just say, well, the sentence doesn't matter, just give him 25 years to life. No, you look at the crime, you look at the aggravating or mitigating circumstances, you look at the defendant, you look at the victims, you look at the whole totality of the circumstances, and then it's up to the prosecutor to recommend a proper sentence or fine or something like that, or type of punishment, and then it's up to the judge to ultimately make the final decision. And so that's what you should be doing. But here, Chris, how about I'll add another example to all the great examples you just gave. Chris, what about the fact that people who are daring to commit acts of what I would call are mere and very innocent, almost incredibly innocent civil disobedience by praying in front of abortion clinics, they're being hauled off and tried in federal court and giving very strict and severe sentences. But Chris, you have protesters throwing red paint to symbolize blood, banging on pots and pans, and doing all sorts of violations of the federal code in front of conservative justices' homes. And Chris, I haven't heard of a single arrest of one of those people.
No arrest at all. And there are laws on the books. You are not supposed to protest in front of a judge's home. I mean, you don't want a judge being intimidated by giving out a certain sentence that you want. But, these are just examples, Tim, of the two-tier justice system in this country. And I don't know how long people are going to tolerate it. I really don't.
Chris, I got to ask you about something here. I'm adding to the insanity in New York City that you and I often speak about. And, Chris, you would think what I'm going to ask you about, you would think that the very subject matter of this coming up is insane because New York, as we've discussed, has so many other problems. They're dealing with an illegal immigration crisis, which their own Democratic mayor admits is destroying the city. They've got problems with the economy. We're still trying to rebound from COVID. We could go on and on and on. Mm-hmm. But, Chris, guess what they're focused on today? One of the headline stories coming out of the city that I so love and am so sad as to what the lunatic left has done to it. Chris, the big debate today is whether New York City should remove statues of George Washington as part of a new reparations plan. Chris, everybody knows you're an African-American, you're a Black American. Yeah. Does George Washington offend you as a racist? What is this all about?
George Washington and all of the other founding fathers do not offend me at all. I always say when you discuss things like this, is you have to put things in context. That's the way people believed, and that's the way things were 200 plus years ago. But we never focus on the progress that this country has made since George Washington is president. Do you think George Washington and the founding fathers could have ever envisioned a African American being president of the United States? Do you think they could have ever envisioned an African American male and female on the Supreme Court? Of course they couldn't. This country has evolved, and there aren't other countries in the world that would have evolved to the point that we have. Unfortunately, the left wants to focus on the past instead of focusing on the great progress that we've made in this country.
Well, you're so right about that, Chris. There's some countries in the world that we never discuss, the left never wants to be compared to, where they are going to be stuck in the Stone Age forever, right? There's never going to be upward mobility. There's never going to be the opportunity to say you have a... How many rags to riches stories do you think that there are in Afghanistan, right? Or North Korea, okay? Yeah. That's never going to happen. They're never going to evolve beyond where they were or are. Do we have blemishes? Do we have sins? Do we have horrific instances of injustice in our nation's past? We do, but in our country, we have the ability, because of our Constitution, our Bill of Rights, our freedoms, our upward mobility, we can, as you just said, we can evolve out of those. And to a large part, we've succeeded in doing that. And Chris, I think it's because the Democratic political party is so based on the grievance industry and the race baiting industry. They see this evolution and they don't like it, right? Because then what do they base their purpose on, you know?
Yeah. It's far more easier to motivate people on grievance and anger than it is to motivate people by, hey, if you get off your butt, work hard, go to school, and strive, you can achieve. The latter is much easier, and they exploit that. It's a human nature thing. Manipulate people's emotions, and they can be moved quite easily. And the Democrats have mastered that.
Mm-hmm. They sure have. Chris had a great corner about how John Fetterman's making a mockery of the institution of the U.S. Senate. It seems like Fetterman doesn't even want to be there. He's made comments that he thinks the Senate is, quote, dumb. All right, dude, well then quit. Let somebody else be there who actually respects it and wants to serve. I found another story that ties in well with that, and let's talk about it in today's Speaker Stump Speech.
Listen to me, listen to me.
I'm very consistent. I'm a very stable genius.
It's time for the Speaker's Stump Speech, sponsored by Hanson's Tree Service at hansonstree.com.
So in line with what Chris and I were just talking about, the left doesn't want to make the United States of America better. They don't want to make it, they don't want to help it continue to evolve to a higher, better purpose and plane. They want to destroy it. And, you know, a few years ago when we would even suggest or intimate that, people said, oh, you crazy conspiracy theorists, you whack job right-wing conservatives. That'll never happen. Folks, it's happening before our very eyes. Chris just pointed out another instance of that. So now we're not gonna respect anything at all. We're gonna wear gym shorts and tank tops into the U.S. Senate. What's next? One of the Republican senators said, well, maybe I should get out the bikini tomorrow and wear it in the Senate well. She said, of course I won't, because I actually do have respect for the institution. But why are we destroying all of this just because one person can't seem fit to put on a pair of trousers, a coat, a tie, and a jacket? Look, I used to have to wear that outfit every single day. I did it for well over 2 decades throughout my law school career, throughout my early years as an attorney. And, you know, I don't have to do that every single day. But when the occasion warrants, I go back to the old closet and get out the gray or the blue suit, put on a white or blue shirt, and then put on a tie that matches, I hope, or I ask my wonderful wife, Suzanne. You respect, you're not just, it's not some kind of, I don't know what they think it is. You know, it's some kind of, oh, we're just following the patriarchy, or maybe it's racist. I don't know, since everything else is these days. No. It's respect for the occasion, for the institution, and you know what? For your fellow common men and women around you to elevate what you're doing. Last night I had the opportunity to go to a Missouri Republican Party Spirit of Enterprise dinner where they honored one of our longtime supporters, a guy by the name of L.B. Eckelkamp, who's a pretty big name out in the Washington, Missouri area. Great guy. Guess what? Everybody was properly clothed. Nobody was wearing gym shorts and a T-shirt because we knew what was proper for the occasion. We wanted to respect the awardee. We wanted to respect the other people that were there. Well, in line with that, the Biden administration continues to make a mockery, as they've done as Democrats have done with the Senate dress code. The Biden administration continues to make a mockery of some of our other basic foundational principles, mores, and values. Today, and this went largely underreported, I happened to see it in one of the email blasts I got, and I haven't seen it anywhere else. Joe Biden has now announced the first federal office dedicated to preventing gun violence. You know what that says, code, to me? That says we are now going to institutionalize and federalize an agency to try to dismantle the Second Amendment. So we're going to continue to make a mockery of not only the Senate dress code, but of something maybe, definitely more important, the Constitution itself. The Democrats want to tear down everything. Simple things like proper dress codes and extremely complex and important things that hold the fabric of our nation together, like the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. They want to invent imaginary rights, things called trans rights, whatever those are, gender-affirming care, environmental justice rights. We don't need to invent rights, folks. All the rights that we Americans need are in our Constitution, our Bill of Rights, in our state laws, in our federal statutes. Democrats don't like any of that. They want to tear down all of this, and they want to rebuild Lord knows what. I don't exactly know. I often find myself searching for what is their end goal here? To destroy this great society that we've built, that we continue to try to make a more perfect union and become some kind of socialist communist state, whereas Kamala Harris said we need to make sure everybody's equal. Let me remind you, everybody can't be an equal millionaire, billionaire, or trillionaire. Everybody can't have a private jet. Everybody can't have motorcades and be treated like the upper crust and the DC elites. But guess what everybody can be? Equally miserable. We can all be equally poor. We can all be equally bereft of opportunity, and we can all have that one extremely tantamount right, the right of the pursuit of happiness, completely and utterly taken away from us. Don't let these folks continue to destroy and make a mockery of everything that did make this nation great and can make it great again. Next year, I'll tell you, we often say this, but I think we believe it this time for sure. One of the most important elections, if not the most, in our lifetime. And that's the stump speech for today.
Hey, Tim, before we go to break, I'm going to need you to sit down for a second because I don't want you to drop or collapse here.
I'm leaning against the counter. Okay.
You know that famous saying that a broken clock is right twice a day?
Uh-oh. What happened?
Well, the Post Disgraces had their broken clock moment. Their editorial today says, quote, "Scuttling Senate dress code diminishes decorum when our politics needs it most."
You are kidding me. Are you sure you're reading our Post Dispatch?
I think it's saying STLtoday.com. I think that's the Post Disgrace.
Did the National Review accidentally, hack their website?
Hack them into it. I saw that. I was like, oh my God. They agree with us.
You know, Chris, I think the Washington Post agree. Yeah, Chris, is the world spinning backwards on its axis? I mean, it's unbelievable. Apparently, Chris, there are bridges too far, even for the left. Interesting.
If you get a chance, when we go to break, go to the Post Dispatch, look at the editorial, and look what Fetterman has on. I mean, It's not even a nice hoodie and shorts. He looks like a straight bum.
Got it from the dollar store. Nothing against the dollar stores. 5:25 in the PM. When we return, up next will be Everett Jones, my brother from another mother. We're going to talk to Everett about Jones Air and Water, all the things you should be thinking about as we head into the fall. Chris and I will talk to him about small business concerns, the economy, and more. All of that is up next at 5:45. We'll tell you about what Larry Connors USA has coming up, and we can take your phone calls, 314-912-1019. All that straight ahead on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show. 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
Follow Chris Arps on Twitter at Chris_Arps. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. A few light showers are possible throughout the evening, even overnight into Thursday morning, low of 64. A high of 82. The best chance of rain Thursday is in the morning, but we could still see a spot shower, thunder shower in the afternoon to early evening. Again, a high of 82 with mostly cloudy skies Thursday. 82 on Friday, 50% chance for some scattered showers or a thunder shower. That's the latest First Alert 4 forecast. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
Free speech is alive and well in America.
So what's going on?
Right here.
To me, this looks like the run-up to World War II.
News Talk STL.
They're playing with fire. Democrats are destroying the country.
News, analysis, opinion.
Don't put off getting them new windows in any longer because time's a ticking till winter is upon us. Yeah, folks, hate to say it, right? We're in late September now. October's next, and then we're going to have some cooler breezes. Get those windows replaced while you still can with those nice breezes and sunny days that we have plenty of still in store. Window World is where you can go for that. Simply the best for less. 314-993-1800, one of only 2 window companies that carry the Good Housekeeping seal of approval in the entire country. How about the fact that 70,000 of our neighbors and friends have already had Window World windows installed in their homes? It's a double strength of glass window. It gives it a strength not commonly used in replacement windows. I've stood on these windows in the warehouse, beautiful warehouse, by the way, where I saw all kinds of different windows, all shapes. They can do anything that you need. They also do siding and entry doors. I'll tell you, lifetime commitment to customer service that comes with a lifetime warranty that really sets them apart from all of our competitors because it covers all parts, all glass breakage, all labor. These are really fantastic windows. They're thermally efficient. They look good, too. They're the preferred window of the St. Louis Blues. Any questions? Would you like a free in-home estimate? They'll come to you with a no-pressure sales call. 314-993-1800, 314-993-1800, 24/7 at windowworld.com, windowworld.com.
Investment advisory and financial planning services offered through Simplicity Wealth, LLC, SEC registered investment advisor. Insurance, consulting, and education services offered through Serenity Wealth Management.
Are you or someone you know providing or managing care for a loved one today? Did you know there could be more cost-efficient solutions for funding long-term care, even those currently living in a skilled care facility today? Financial strategist and long-term care specialist Chris Cooper of Serenity Wealth Management can show you tax-efficient strategies available to help your family manage care concerns. Whether planning for the future or managing care for a loved one today, solutions exist to provide the financial peace of mind you deserve.
Hi, I'm Chris Cooper, and I'd love to send you a free copy of my new book, A CPA's Guide to Tax-Free Strategies for Long-Term Care. You'll learn about strategies to empower you and your family, protect your savings, and make sure your loved ones get the quality of care they deserve.
Request your free copy of Chris's book by visiting SerenityLTC.com. That's SerenityLTC.com.
It's your last chance to cut a deal at Seidenstricker Nobe Partners. Save up to $5,000 on select John Deere compact tractor packages with our exclusive 10-year warranty. And we're offering 0% financing for 60 months with zero down. Get your John Deere equipment by shopping online or visiting us at any of our 28 locations. Let's cut a deal now before it's too late. SNPartners.com.
Offer valid through 9/30/2023. Some restrictions apply. See dealer for details.
Oh, Adam, you are so romantic. And I love the kitchen you found with all these great crumbs.
Yeah, baby. Only the finest crumbs in the kitchen for my favorite aunt. Oh, no. It's the pest control company again with those green wheels. They always kill the mood.
This is Derek, the owner of All Solutions Pest Control. Give us a call today at 636-486-7888. We'd love to help you out. Learn more about our special $67 offer. You can visit us online at allsolutionspestcontrol.com.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
This hour of Jones and Arps is brought to you by Stifel. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. Like us on Facebook at News Talk STL.
Meeting you with a view to a kill, face to face in secret places, feel the chill.
The one thing American public has to understand is
There's a strategy behind everything. We only follow facts. Hunter Biden will get subpoenaed, but when's the appropriate time? Do you do it because television wants it, or do you do it around the facts and the timing when Comer? I think we should have the bank statements to actually know where did the money go, so you would know the questions to ask Hunter Biden.
Welcome back to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show. You know, Chris, I don't think, we necessarily need a smoking gun in the bank statements, but boy, wouldn't it be fun if there was one and then they subpoena Hunter Biden to explain it all and ask where did it go?
I tell you what, Tim, as soon as they get Joe Biden's bank records and they pour over those with a fine-tooth comb, I think we will have the smoking machine gun, the smoking bazooka, the smoking missile launcher. I think we will have all the evidence that we need.
Mm-hmm. The M1 Abrams tank. Yeah, you
exactly.
Can just keep it. Maybe an aircraft carrier on top of it. Hey, let's shift gears quite a bit and talk to, as I always say, my brother from another mother, Everett Jones of Jones Air and Water. He was afraid of sliding his way on the motorbike down here to the studio. I don't blame him. Be careful out there, folks. A little sketchy weather rolling in. Nothing severe, but a little wet outside. Everett joining us by phone today. We're happy to have him back here on the program. Everett, as always, thank you so much for supporting live, local, common sense radio. And welcome back to the program.
Hey, it's great to be here. Sorry I can't be there today, but yeah, my time got away from me, and that's just one of those things that happens sometimes.
Nope, you're
That's
busy.
called being an entrepreneur and making money. We hear you.
We hear you, Everett, for sure. Everett, you let me know earlier today that you work not only we talk all the time about all the things you can do for our residential listeners, but we also have tons of folks, many like you who support our station, who are in the commercial or industrial world, and Jones Air and Water can handle commercial and industrial projects as well. You've been working on some, huh?
Yeah, we've got a project out in Washington that we're putting in a commercial reverse osmosis system for a growing system, and we just got secured a contract with a school district out in Lincoln County that's got 13 different locations that treat their boilers, cooling towers, and there's a lot of things that people don't think about in the water treatment industry when we're talking about residential stuff, but a lot of this residential stuff applies to commercial and industrial as well. So, if you're a customer, if you're a person out there that's in the manufacturing industry and you use steam for any reason, or you use, like I said, cooling towers, or you have a car wash or a laundromat, those kind of motels, all of these commercial locations have some sort of water treatment that's trying to prevent the scale buildup inside their plumbing fixtures, and in main cases, like these water softeners we're going to put in for the school district is protect a $5,000 or $10,000 water softener is protecting a $200,000 boiler. So it's pretty critical in most cases for these things to operate correctly. And I always talk about the residential side of things, but we are definitely in the commercial and industrial side of things as well. So I just want to let the folks out there know that, if you're in that situation and you're needing somebody to help you out with that, that's what I do. That's what we do. I'm a certified operator for the state of Missouri. We do small community things. We've got some gas stations we take care of. We've got some I won't say a trailer park, but a mobile trailer park that we take care of, or camping facility, anywhere where there's water that is not public city water is controlled by the Department of Natural Resources, and those municipalities, small ones that they may be, are still under their finger, and they have to have somebody that's there taking care of them, taking care of the tests that need to be done, keeping track of the paperwork that needs to be done. Those kind of things are what an operator of the state has to do. And again, I don't have this license to operate a community like of under 100,000 connections or less. I have it that's operating small, real small mom and pop places that are out there trying to survive and trying to give people good water and make sure that they're safe for that purpose.
Everett, we are Facebook friends, and I think literally every other day you are showing a new system that you have installed in a home. I'm wondering, how long does it take to install that? Because it looks very complicated, especially for a person like me that's non-mechanical. How long does it take to install those water systems? And fall is coming up. Do you have any deals on those systems going on right now?
Well, we just getting out of the drinking water. We still have our drinking water systems available currently through the end of September. We got them. They're 20% off right now, so that's our special going on. In the fall, we switch gears and do a little bit of air purification and dehumidification. So I should say humidification. We install air purifiers. Since you close up your house and you're going to be subject to having no fresh air in there, we're gonna make sure the sneezing and wheezing and bugs that are flying around in the air are killed through the ductwork when it comes past our ultraviolet light. We're gonna make sure you got enough humidity in the air to keep you from scratching, lighting up when you grab the handle on your door, or when you go to pet your animal, you get a little shock across their nose. They don't want to come see you anymore. That's an indication. That's an indication you don't have enough moisture in the air.
Mm-hmm.
So, and to answer your question about how long, really just depends on the application. I looked at a job yesterday out in Wildwood that came from 101.9 advertising.
All right,
nice.
And that's probably going to take us half the day to do the piping on this one.
Good deal.
It's going to be repainted and moved. And on average, if it's a new home where the plumbing is accessible, it takes Austin maybe half a day to plumb one up. He's doing most of the installations these days. So if I was out
and
there,
that's your son, right?
It is.
Okay.
If I was doing it, it might take me a little bit less, but I let him do all the work.
There you go.
Work smarter, not harder. Everett, one thing I wanted to make one of the thing I want to make sure folks understand is they shouldn't just call you when they want something new. That's great. You're more than happy to put new systems into people's homes. But if people already have stuff along any of the things that we're talking about relating air systems or water systems for their homes or their businesses, you can test and you can repair and service existing systems as well, right? You do it all.
Oh yeah, exactly. I mean, we're not. Our hands aren't tied like some other companies that are out there. We do work on all brands, and if you know the science behind them, most all of them work the same way. You just have to know what you're looking for and how to work it. So yeah, we work pretty much all of the systems that are out there. There's a few products that we can't get our hands on for parts, but in most cases, if there's a problem, we can be in the house for half an hour, find the problem, and let you know whether we can fix it or it can be repaired or it needs to be replaced. Mm-hmm. That's kind of the way we roll.
Everett, you are a certified master water specialist, and when you go on your website, you can see that you have about 9 awards that you have been awarded for your business. Talk a little bit about those two things.
Well, let's see here. When you become a master water specialist, that pretty much means you've had everything that the Water Quality Association offers in education, all the different ways of treating water, whether it's filtering or disinfecting or ultrafiltration or reverse osmosis or water softening, deionization. Those are all the different courses that they offer for continuing education. And once you have all those, you become a master water specialist. And that's over time, that's what's happened for me. I've eventually received all of the certifications, and that's what makes me a master water specialist. I can work on pretty much anything that's out there and understand how it works. Mm-hmm. And I'm sorry, what was the other question?
About the 9 awards that are on your website that you were awarded.
Oh, well, those are the certifications basically of each of those things. And I've got, there's a lot of awards from what used to be called Home Advisors, now called Angie. Mm-hmm. Before that, it was called Service Magic. So I've been around with those guys for a long, long time since it started in its inception. And it was Service Magic probably 12 or 15 years ago. And it's evolved over time to where now it's called Angie's. Mm-hmm. And that's just we get awards for being a dealer or a participant in their program, and when we get 5-star awards, that just makes us higher up in the tick count for consumers to have trust in what we can do for them. So that's what the awards are about.
Speaking of Everett Jones, owner and operator of Jones Air and Water, joneswater.com. Everett, how is the supply chain world for your business? You deal with a lot of different systems, a lot of different components, a lot of different manufacturers. How's supply chain going these days? And just in general, I imagine that, and you're always hustling. I see your trucks all the time, especially out in my neck of the woods where we have a lot of water issues. But I imagine $4 gasoline, $4 a gallon gasoline probably isn't too happy for you guys. So how are things with supply chain, and just how has the small business world in general been for you this year?
It's an up and down battle. The gas comes up, the gas goes down. I don't use gas; I use diesel. So, it's even more than gas in most cases. And there isn't really anything we can do about it other than just keep stopping in there and feeding it. You got to feed what feeds you. So I guess the answer to the question is everybody out there sees it. Food's more expensive, gas is more expensive, lodging's more expensive. It doesn't matter what you do, tires, electrical, roofing, windows, everything is affected and has been affected. Because I don't, in my spare time, I don't just do water and air treatment. I'm kind of a remodeler too. So I look into things that I still have to buy all the other things that a natural consumer does from different places. And everybody out there is like, well, it's going to take 2 or 3 weeks to get something. So whether, having it in stock today is a bonus. If somebody has, I try to keep things in stock to the point where I'm down to the last 1 or 2, and then I order another truckload of them. And then when I'm down to another 1 or 2, I order another truckload, because it takes about 2 weeks to get a truckload of equipment. So if you run out of it before you can get it, you got to find other things to do.
Everett, most of us are aware of what a humidifier does, but we may not be familiar with a dehumidifier. What are the benefits of using a whole house dehumidifier?
Well, since we're in misery, the state of, we have a lot of humidity here. So this time of the year, the air conditioners are turned off, but it's raining outside, and the humidity is probably 50 or 60%, 70% when it starts raining, and your air conditioner is not going to run because the temperature is cool enough that it won't run, but the humidity is still high. So when you dehumidify a home or a business, it's typically, mine runs in my house 12 months out of the year. But the most time it runs is March through October, because that's when we have the most humidity in the air here. And if you take that humidity out of the air, your comfort zone in your home or business can be tolerable at a higher temperature without that humidity. So that's what a whole home dehumidifier is for, is to the air conditioner can't run continuously because it will get you so cold that you won't be comfortable. So with a dehumidifier, it can actually take the humidity out of the air, and the air conditioner can actually control the temperature. So that, the air conditioner, when you don't have a dehumidifier, acts as a dehumidifier, but it's only cycling on temperature. And that's what a whole home dehumidifier is for, since we're here in the Midwest, and it can run 9 months out of the year and keep things dry. I should say, an ideal humidity might be 35 to 45% all year long. If you go look at a temperature gauge right now, you're going to find that humidity is probably in the 50 to 60% range.
So many excellent. Exactly. Everett, you got so many excellent services and products, and you do so much for the economy here in our region. We thank you for supporting our station and for all your expertise. Hope folks check you out anytime at joneswater.com for your residential, commercial, and industrial air and water needs. Everett, always great to speak with you. Got to run for now, but we'll definitely have you back on again sometime in the near future.
Thanks, Everett.
Yeah. Aren't you guys moving here sometime soon?
We are, and we may have to have you in there to install a bunch of stuff there too. Yeah, we're going to be moving into the Westport area, a little closer to you.
Yeah, right. That'll be easier for me to get to.
Absolutely. We'll see you soon. We'll send you the special invite for the grand opening.
Sounds good.
All
I
right.
appreciate all you guys do. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Everett. We
Thanks,
appreciate you as well. 5:46 in the PM. Such a great guy. So I remembered. Oh, I remembered his nickname, Junior.
Junior, yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah, very
I
good.
tell you one thing, Everett Jones knows his stuff.
Man, yeah, like nobody. I mean, I know a lot. You know, you and I, Chris, we know a lot of professionals, a lot of business owners. That guy knows more stuff. It just comes out of him naturally in a conversational tone than any other business owner I think I've ever met before. It's amazing, all the stuff that he's gotten in his packed in his noggin. So.
You need air and water products, you need to go to Jones Air and Water, most definitely.
Absolutely, indeed. All right, Chris, just like that, 5:46 in the PM. When we come back, Chris will tell folks what they can expect when Larry Connors jumps in here around 6:05, and we'll make sure that we bring you up to speed on anything we may have missed today on Capitol Hill in the state of Missouri or beyond. The Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show. One final segment. Stay right here. That's next. 101.9, 94.1, News Talk STL.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps, driving the leftist crazy all afternoon.
Meeting you with a view to a kill.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. A few light showers are possible throughout the evening, even overnight into Thursday morning, a low of 64. A high of 82. The best chance of rain Thursday is in the morning, but we could still see a spot shower, thunder shower in the afternoon to early evening. Again, a high of 82 with mostly cloudy skies Thursday. 82 on Friday, 50% chance for some scattered showers or a thunder shower. That's the latest First Alert 4 forecast. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Is life about to get more expensive through higher interest rates? We've got the update on what it means to you on Thursday.
Morning starting at 5:30 on News Talk STL.
Well, speaking of water, let's talk about another one of our great advertisers, water for your lawn. Well, we've got one for that too, right? Everett Jones takes care of the inside. We've got Professional Irrigation Systems. They take care of the outside. ProIrrigation.com. 636-692-4441. That's ProIrrigation.com. Tim Jones here. I've got one of their systems. It was the best decision we ever made. Look, you know, growing up, I spent 6 years being a greenskeeper at a local golf course. Therefore, I thought I knew everything about growing grass, and I got pretty good at it. I got a decent green thumb. But, man, trying to water your yard with little sprinklers you buy at the store and hoses, it never works out right. Folks, you're going to save money, and your yard's going to look 1,000 times better after you put in a system from Professional Irrigation. I speak with personal knowledge on that. We're so happy. You can control it from your phone, like if you're out of town and, you know, either rains too much or not enough, you can adjust it. The folks at Pro Irrigation, they are like the best techs ever when they come to the house. They're quick, they're informative, they do such great jobs. They keep everything working so smoothly, very affordable maintenance plans. They can put in a system into your yard in 1 day, and it'll be custom designed for your yard, right? Irrigation installs improve curb appeal along with their landscape lighting. See, they do more than just the irrigation. They got landscape lighting. They've got fertilization packages, everything to make the exterior of your home look so freaking fantastic. You'll be the envy of the neighborhood. Great financing options to help spread out your payments. 636-692-4441. As I just said, proirrigation.com, proirrigation.com.
Get ready for winter by making sure your family is warm and safe when the bone-chilling weather gets here. Mike Ferguson here for Anton's Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Energy Experts. Call them today to get your furnace tune-up. It's only $89, and it could save you hundreds or even thousands by preventing a breakdown. 314-338-3941 or antonshvac.com. Anton's installed our HVAC system, and we love it. Put their expertise and excellent customer service to work for you, just like they did for my house. antonshvac.com.
I'm Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey. Human trafficking is occurring right here in Missouri. You can help combat it by learning the signs of human trafficking and reporting suspicious activity to law enforcement. Victims may appear malnourished, show signs of mental or physical abuse, or avoid social interaction. If you're a victim or know someone who needs help, contact the National Human Trafficking Hotline at 1-888-373-7888 or text the word HELP to Be Free. Together, we can fight human trafficking in Missouri.
Brought to you by the Missouri Attorney General's Office.
1949, the last time a Republican held the top post in St. Louis City.
A gallon of milk was 84 cents, and streetcars ran down Grand Avenue. The city was booming. Unfortunately, St. Louis city streets are no longer the epicenter of family and business life. In the 80 years of Democrat control, our city has been on a steady decline. St. Louis City Republicans believe it is our duty to provide a different path forward. Learn more at stlouisrepublicans.com.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican Pat Curtis, Farber Treasurer.
This hour of Jones and Arps brought to you by Window World. Simply the best for less. 314-993-1800 or visit windowworld.com. Like and subscribe to us on Rumble. News Talk STL.
Let me ask you about the F-35. How does the U.S. military lose a $100 million plane?
That will be something that they will investigate. Believe me, after every aviation mishap, the Pentagon does what the Pentagon does. They'll investigate it to try to get the answers on what happened. And they'll also, I'm sure, look at their own search and recovery efforts of the aircraft itself to see whether that was conducted in all the appropriate ways. They'll investigate this, and as the Defense Department always does, they'll be transparent about it when they find the answer.
Oh, will they? Chris, if this had been a Republican administration, CNN, and I like the fact that CNN is incredulous as the rest of us about losing an aircraft like this. But if this had been a Republican administration, they would be doing daily cyclical exposés on, amateur hour at the White House. But yet this White House gets away with, literally murder, it seems sometimes.
Yeah, no doubt. And you remember a couple of weeks ago when two American sailors of Chinese descent were arrested for espionage? I thought that was going to be the case with this, Tim. I thought that we were going to find out that the pilot of this plane was a Chinese American, and that plane was halfway on its way to China for them to take apart and do what they need to do to build their own $100 million jet.
It's a good enough, Chris, that's a good enough supposition as anything else, since John Kirby doesn't know. He doesn't know. It could be anywhere around the globe. Oh, my goodness. Welcome back to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show. Just got a few minutes left. Chris, go ahead.
One last thing about that, too, which was strange about this airplane. They said that the transponder, which helps find the plane, was turned off.
Weird.
That's a mystery there.
There is definitely.
Why would you turn that off?
Definitely a mystery indeed. Folks, in just a few minutes, Larry Connors, USA, will be taking over the airwaves here at News Talk STL. He'll be discussing a ton of additional very important topics, including the A.G. Garland. A.G. Garland acting as a Biden clone today, Larry says, as he stammered and stumbled his way through today's judiciary hearing. So more on that. Shark Tank capital venture Kevin O'Leary says one UAW demand would destroy the U.S. What's that all about? And national security expert Fred Fleets on how Iran is playing Joe Biden. Yeah, I think we all agree with that. And risking American lives. Larry Connors, USA. All of those topics and more in about 7-8 minutes right after our news break at 6 p.m.
Are you like me, Tim, when you listen to Larry Connors on the way home that you can close your eyes? Don't drive while you're doing that, of course.
Correct.
And you can almost imagine him with Julius Hunter there giving the news.
Yeah,
that voice is just so familiar.
It is. It's so soothing. It does take you back, Chris. It's very it's very comforting. It's very informative. I kind of lose myself a little bit sometimes on the way home because I'm like just listening to Larry. He plays those long. He does deeper dives into the clips. It's really good analysis, and I really enjoy it. And that's why. I'm a listener like Chris and all of you all. That's one of the reasons why we extended him to 2 hours because you all demanded it, and we provided 2 hours of Larry Connors for your listening enjoyment every Monday through Friday. So there you go.
Maybe we can get him here in the near future to say, up next, MASH.
That would be great. Yes, indeed. Indeed. Chris, I had something, and this is kind of completely out of the blue sky. And there's nothing wrong now that I want to bring anybody's attention to, but I had Chris something come across. I get a lot. You and I get a million emails. Sure. I'm on an email list for my parish, and my parish sends out a thought of the week every week. And it's always something very introspective. But, Chris, this is for those times. You know, Chris, we often have difficult times in our lives, or maybe there's a friend or a coworker or a colleague or a family member, and they've had a really severe loss, and you're like, man, I don't know what to do. Well, Chris, this just, I want folks maybe to think about this. Maybe I'll post this later. So this is great advice. It says, when someone is hurting, don't attempt to take away their pain. You can't. Instead, love them by walking beside them in the hurt. You can. Sometimes what people need is simply to know that they aren't alone and that they are loved. Right, Chris? I mean, so many times we go, man, I don't know what to do. Well, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to do anything except just let people know you're there for them. So anyway, I thought that was kind of cool, and maybe we can all remember that the next time we all do need to help out someone in trouble or in pain. So,
and I think that is taken from the book of Job in the Bible, where Job, who was had all of the maladies afflict him, his friends at first were trying to comfort him, and then later they were trying to tell him what his sin was and why he was suffering, and they had no idea. And I think that's where we learn. Sometimes people just need you to be around them. They don't need your advice. They don't need you to talk. Just be there with them.
Yeah, just be present, right? Just be present with them in the moment. Lend a comforting hand. All right, Chris, well, on that positive note for once, right, given all the calamities in today's world, Chris and I and Joey are going to get the heck out of here tonight. We'll be back tomorrow with a great Thursday show, Chris, of course, featuring the one and only Dakota Wood.
Yes.
We've got lots to discuss on the international team with Dakota. In the meantime, Larry Connors USA is up next here at 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss as part of our lineup every week. Doug has been a staple on St. Louis radio for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can hear Doug and Safe Money Radio 3 times every weekend on News Talk STL. And in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com. What else do our listeners need to know, Doug?
Simply put, I focus on helping pre-retirees and retirees build, preserve, and protect retirement assets, and I've been helping my clients solve their insurance and financial needs for the past 33 years. I also strive to educate my clients on how to prepare for retirement, minimize the impact of market volatility on their assets, and deal with the